Okay, Sunday, 3 LL. Only a few people here, but let's go. Lessons in no, what are you? Ayom Yom. Ayom Yom 3 LL. Okay. Whoever has faith in individual divine providence knows, as the Pasuk says, that man's steps are established by God, meaning that the particular soul must purify and repair something specific in a particular place. We're all where we're supposed to be from the perspective of divine providence and our Bechira, both together. We are always in the right place at the right time. This itself is something to think about. For centuries, or even since the world's creation, that which needs purification or improvement waits for this soul, this particular soul, to come and purify or improve it. The soul, too, has been waiting ever since it came into being for its time to descend, so that it can discharge the tasks of purification and improvement assigned to it. Really profound way to live, to think that whatever you are, wherever is happening, wherever you are, is just designed specially for you to deal with and reveal the sparks. Okay, on that theme, revealing the sparks, lessons in Tanya, page 175. Am I reading quick? Yeah, 175. And Lakuti Amorim, near the bottom of page Tes Vov. So, we've been talking about, he introduced this, there's two cheseds, two kindnesses. Chesed oilam, chesed, which is literally chesed of the world, and Rav chesed. And he's linked to us so far, chesed oilam, the kindnesses of Hashem, that are relevant to the level called oilam, world, reflect something about the world itself, which the world is, by definition, a limited place, world. We've said many, many times, oilam, which is world, is the same letters ayin, lamed, mem, as concealment or tzimtzum. So there's a chesed which comes in a tzimtzum-dicker way, contracted way, a measured way. And he explained to us, El Rebbe, that all of that is explains why mitzvahs in general have a particular measure to them. And we last spoke about tzedakah and acts of kindness, that the average measure for that is tenth, and above that is mitzvah min hamuvchar, is embellishing and improving the mitzvah. And along the way, before that, he told us that tzitzis have to be a certain length, tefillin have to be a certain square. So all of this certainness of distinctiveness of measurement is reflected in the world itself. The world itself is six dimensions: north, south, east, and west is four. North, south, east, and west is four. That's the horizontal plane, and then up and down, 4 plus 2 is 6 dimensions. And so dimensionality is reflected in world, and it reverberates in mitzvahs, that each have their mitzvahs, each have their measure. Now he starts, however, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines up from the bottom of the page. However, doing things in the measured way which is prescribed by the Torah is for one who literally is guarding the Torah, and one has not deviated from the Torah either to the left being in mitzvahs loisaseh, afilu kamilanima, even a hair's breadth. One hasn't deviated a hair's breadth from the mitzvahs the way they're prescribed, and therefore, that's that. Then we can apply the particular measurements, the exactitudes about that we mentioned in mitzvahs themselves. Aval mi sha'avir olav haderech, the one who has crossed over the derech, one way or another, chas v'sholom. Me'acha sha'ayva darkoi, since that person has strayed from Hashem's way, loses migorois bekodesh elyon, and caused some worsening, some degradation in the supernal holiness. Shegora erka, he's degraded in some way his path. And when you've degraded the path, meaning you've strayed from the way in some way, so that has something to do with what happens to the ray of godliness that's been designed for you to do something with. You've taken that, back to our Yom Yom, you've taken that into a place, and that place needs rectification. So interestingly enough, the straying, as we learned in the Yom Yom, everybody is always in the place that has been designed for them to do something with and basically to rectify. So the straying is part of that process of beginning to find the place that needs rectification. Because one has taken or caused to stray the ray that's within the soul of the person. The hamshacha, the drawing down of the ray of godliness that's in the soul, which you were able to draw down from the level of godliness, and from the ray of light, from the infinite light, blessed be he, or the infinite one whose light is infinite, blessed be he. If you had kept the Torah and guarded the Torah and walked in the straight path, and fulfilled it according to halacha. So this straying, this diversion of from the path, that can be fixed only by a much greater ray, a much greater drawing down of godliness than the rays of godliness that are drawn down in the measured quantities that are given in halacha for instance, tzedakah and acts of kindness, a tenth. You need something more than that in order to rectify the situation. To draw down the sakin ke'im v'hamshochas ha'orelyon, you need to draw down a higher light, shelamayla me'olemus, which is higher than worlds. In other words, higher than chesed olam, right? The two levels, for those who came late, he had spoken, put on the table, two levels of chesed olam and rav chesed, and a great chesed. So you need to draw down from a greater level in order to rectify, in order to turn things around. The enem eslabish bechinas hanek lechesed, and the enem eslabish behen, because you need something which has not yet been contained in these actions, which is called hanikra chesed ilah, which is called the supernal chesed, chesed above chesed olam. And it's also called the Rav Chesed. I just turned to page 230. Rav Chesed was the expression that he used before. Rav Chesed. Or now we called it, he added Chesed Ilah, supernal Chesed. The fi shemera mispah should be because it's ein so bli gvul. That's a Chesed, a flow and effulgence of godliness, which radiates in a manner of infinity. Bli gvul, without any boundedness, umida, and without any measure. Because this level of chesed is not contracted within worlds. It is above the differentiation of worlds, above meaning deeper than in God, comes from a deeper level of God's consciousness, which is called makif, the all-encompassing, which encompasses all details before they're expressed as details. Or makif. I'm saying that's just a recapitulation of what we've spoken about many times, and we've spoken about or hasoide. So you need to reach into not the Or Mamale, the Or which fills all worlds in particular ways, but the Or Hasoivev, or the Or Makif, which encompasses and is the source of the Or Mamale. So you need something you have to draw down again. Just recapitulating here from a place from a place which is not contracted within the worlds, but which encompasses or transcends them, from above or from a deeper level, from the head of all levels. In other words, from the place where all levels are included, and from the place from which originates all the details that will come out in the Om Male. In which, so Meresh Kol Dargan and Seif Kol Dargan. This is a place of transcendence which encompasses the beginning of all levels and the ends of all levels. When a person draws down below in one's deeds, and one's arousal from below, when one does this, and we'll explain what this is in a minute, this supernal light, if you behave in a manner which taps into these transcendent levels, there's an effulgence of that transcendent level. So this supernal light, shines, flows down, and it shines within all the worlds. And it rectifies any disturbance that had been caused previously by the behavior that took the light away from the straight path. It rectifies that. The kol megarois, and it rectifies any damages, any lessenings, any worsenings, shenitnu b'kodesh elyon, which have occurred as a result of one's own behavior up above in the higher levels of kodesh. And it brings down and renews the light and the goodness with much, much power, and much, much greater strength. It's mamish in a new light. And what is this power that does this? In a place where a Baal Shuva stands, a Sadikim Gamurim can't stand. So the behavior is Shuva. And of course, this is all written in Chodesh Elul, a time for Cheshbon Nefesh, a time for examination of oneself, as the Rebbe always said, besimcha, knowing that one can rectify, and one has the impetus to rectify and the help to rectify, which is given in Chodesh Elul, and bring back anything that had been off on a different path in any way. And that power of Shuva, restoring it to the straight path, since it takes an extra measure, it's beyond the measure that we spoke about before of each mitzvah. It's beyond the measure. It takes an extra strength, so it produces an extra effulgence from above, the Rav Chesed, which is greater than the Chesed Olam. That's today's time. Any comments or questions? Anything at all?
All right, I'll ask. So this light is around us all the time, but we draw it down when we do tshuva.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's above it's coming from a source before the Tzimtzum.
Correct.
But shining down anyways.
Yes, coming down anyways. Coming down into the Tzimtzum. Okay, so, a way of maybe explaining this is the simple way to say it, this is acting in an unordinary way, brings down an ordinary power, right? And I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I would guess that each of us has experiences in our own life, which maybe some of us could bring forth to the table today, where something that you did unordinarily brought unordinary results. That's one way of saying it. Another way of saying it, and I'm open to hearing stories or examples of that, is that this or makif is always present. Remember it now. We have to remember, or if we don't remember, let's get it in our minds again. Makif, meaning around or hovering, doesn't mean, the Alter Rebbe points out many times, it doesn't mean hovering from above, like the circumference of a circle hovers around, circumscribes the point. It's everywhere present, and everywhere it penetrates everything. It's responsible for the being of everything, the essential being of everything, in which a blade of grass and an angel are both equal in that they both are. Their differences are a function of mamale. Their are-ness, their beingness, our simple beingness, is a function of soivev. So the soivev is present, but it normally manifests itself, when we say that it manifests itself through this infusion in mamale. Soivev is a source for mamale. But when a person does shuva, that place of all-encompassing oneness, that place of all-encompassing power, which is normally just a source for mamale, itself becomes revealed. In other words, according to the way you measure yourself out, that's what you're going to get. Meaning, if you give a tenth, so Hashem gives chesed olam. But if you take yourself out of your normal measure, your normal behavior, you get something which is abnormal, which is a hamshacha of soivev kalam directly down here below in a revealed way, in a feeling. And what's the feeling? The feeling is that something incredible just happened because I did something, or as a result, at least, or connected with something that I did in an abnormal way. Anybody have any examples of that? Did anybody see the video last night? Were you in any place to see the video of the Rebbe speaking about how to approach people who are, particularly he was talking about intellectuals who are atheists or who have no connection with the Torah and maybe even proud of it.
I saw it, yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So what did he tell us? That basically he told us that an unexpected behavior can have unexpected results, meaning he said, don't start talking to them about Torah and about what they should do and about mitzvahs and about God. Don't do that. That's maybe the natural response to right away enter into debate with them about God. Does God exist or not? And does God require anything from us or not? Or is this all chance or whatever their shita is? So don't, that would be an expected way of doing things. Do something unexpected, which is just sit and learn with them or give them access to the teachings, because the teachings are particularly of Hasidus, because Hasidus itself is an embodiment of the fifth level. Above the Pardes, Pshat, Drosh, Remez, and Sod, the fifth level, the fifth dimension is Hasidus, which sheds a light on all of them. And just by giving them access to the light, teaching them the light, not about mitzvahs, what to do, just exposing them to the light, you will see great results. And each one of the stories in the video documented how some were very radical philosophers, intellectuals, ideologues in the Israeli government and not in the Israeli government, and each one of them turned around it in some respect and started doing mitzvahs, and one of them wrote a book explaining Hasidus in a way which the Rebbe approved of, after simply giving that person lots and lots of information, allowing him to have access to the information of Hasidus. So, as I said, the expected way, which normal way, obvious way, when you meet somebody who's not observant, is to start talking to them about observance and the beauties of observance and the results of observance. And the Rebbe said, Not necessarily. There's an unordinary way of doing things, and you will see it has unordinary results, as demonstrated in this video. But aren't there more mundane things where just a person has behaved in some way? A person came to me and asked for advice recently about how to get to the mayor of a city. He needs to talk to the mayor of a city about a certain project, and he had certain ideas about how to do it. And I suggested something to him, which was different, and he liked it very much. And he told me last night that he consulted with another person who gave him the same advice to do this a little bit different, and he's very lit up about it. Now, because he's lit up and excited, that excitement's going to, I know, whatever the results are, will generate something that would not have been generated had he not been lit up in a different way than he was when he first started talking. I bet you guys have examples of that, but I'm not going to just. We could sit and wait, but no, I'm not going to do that. Anybody else? So that's what it's telling us, that the way to bring down this higher energy, this ormaki, this deeper energy, is through shuva, is through the mokum shabala shuva amdim, by changing your direction. This doesn't necessarily mean that you've been doing averas. You could just improve in a radical way your performance of a mitzvah. Just go do something beyond measure. Just get out of yourself in a way that you haven't done before. And the little things can mean a lot. Could be just doing something in a relationship that you haven't done before, that you've been saying, I don't want to do that. That's not for me. Try it. All right, then we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Good luck.